So it's been a month with the Xbox Series X, just over a month since it launched, exactly the same amount of time since I've had it. I've got a lot of game time with it, play time with it, and it's not the longest amount of time that I could give a console to like test it and play around with it, but initial thoughts, considering it's coming up to Christmas as well and people might be looking into it, thought I'd let you know how I've had it, how the experience has been, the good stuff, bad stuff, any in-between stuff, all that sort of jazz. Without further ado, let's talk about it. And to start with a little summary, what's been good so far? For me, the main headline's easily the speed. The speed of everything loading up, the load times of every single game, all the specs, the CPU, GPU, RAM, all making every little part of the game load up, even just a tiny bit quicker, but a lot of times substantially quicker than it was on the old Xbox One or any hard drive-based console or system at all, is insane. There are little boosts you might think, but all those little boosts in one whole package really add up to a lot, and it's a nice, really nice feature to have just overall, something I couldn't give up. Of course, the Series X just has a lot of power in general. It easily actually hits 4K 60 in games now with all that performance. Ray tracing chucked in there in a couple different modes here and there. 120 FPS in a lot of games, so if you've got a 120Hz monitor, don't get me started on that, but if you have a 120Hz monitor, it's beautiful to experience that. Bigger wheels, that can just be massive, and obviously will load in a decent amount of time, more than a decent amount of time. It's great. The problem is we don't have that many things to take advantage of that. It's good that we have the power, that's the main point of saying it. It's good that we have it. We just have to be a little patient for more games to really take advantage of this, that we can really see how good it is. But there's a few still out there, not saying there isn't. What's bad so far is linking in with the point I said in the last bit, where we just don't have the games to take advantage of any of that sort of stuff yet, because we're just waiting. None enough have come out yet. We've got a few optimized titles, Black Ops Cold War, Cyberpunk's just dropped actually very recently, and there's a few others, but they're not fully taking advantage of stuff, and my little take is that mainly they're either still producing it for the old consoles, like I have down here, my Xbox One, or PS4s, etc., and then obviously PS4 Pros, Xbox One X's. They're still making them for that, so they're not fully focused. I want to see when they're fully on just only this, almost missed it there, fully focused on that console and the PS5, and then we'll fully be able to see just what they can do, because they've got a lot in them. As I said earlier, there's a lot we can see out of this for a lot of games. We just have to wait. I 100% understand if that's a deal breaker for you, if the games that you want to play aren't looking that much better than they was before yet, because they're still kind of half transitioning between one and the other, and you want to see more out of them. All the games just flat out aren't out yet, and I would fully get it if you're like, okay, I'm just going to wait a year or so until a couple more games come out, and then I'll make the purchase on my Series X, even PS5. I know this is only a Series X, but same sort of thing. If the games isn't out yet, then there's no point buying the console to play said games yet. But anyway, let's elaborate on some of those things I said. Let's start with that speed. That SSD in this console is an absolute dream to have. It's super speedy, obviously. I mean, the specs show that it should be super speedy if you're going to go in depth like that. But just using it, it is insanely super speedy. And yes, PC players will be like, okay, well, I can just get that already now. I don't have to buy this console for it. I'm talking people coming from Xbox Ones, PS4s, PS4 Pros, any console at all. And you're now coming to this? Damn, it's quick. I've only made a video on load times, pure load times between a few games, between Xbox One and Series X, so you can see the difference. I'll hopefully link that down below if I remember. In short, most normal waiting times, load times, anything between games, loading a game, any of that, is practically gone. You are only gaming 100% of the time, alright, 90-something% of the time. But yeah, like times when you go pick up your phone to do something, yeah, gone pretty much. You have no time to do that anymore, you're only playing. In short, goodbye to popping off to get a snack or something or a drink while Forza loads, or while GTA 5 loads, or Red Dead loads. That's gone. Or even between matches in Cold War. For example, when you're joining a fresh match, the hint of when you are ready to start the game, when your console has loaded up the map and everything in between the scenes, and it's just waiting for everyone else to load into the game, is when you can select your creator class option. Normally that happens a couple seconds before the game's about to start. It happens pretty much immediately, as you'll see in the example hopefully I'm showing on screen, and I am just waiting for the rest of the players to start and load their game in, and then we can start playing. I am generally waiting there. That's the waiting time that I unfortunately have. The only waiting time. When I loading too quickly for everyone else. And then if you're joining in the middle of a game in progress on Cold War, well, just look at it for yourself. It's practically instant, because you're not waiting for the game to load, you are just waiting for you to load, and that takes no time. Gone are the times you look at your phone while it loads in. You are literally in the game as soon as you press load in and it's found the lobby. That's pretty much it. Onto the quick resume feature, and that is also brilliant. My next video will be me going into more details of it and actually like showing where it breaks and where it can't handle any more games. But TLDR, 3 games that are optimized can officially be supported and will all stay suspended in the actual quick resume, so you don't have to worry about that. and about 3 to 4, probably 5 as well, mixed in with back compat. So if let's say you got Cold War, and then 3 other Xbox One games and Uno added onto that, something like that as a random example, they'll all easily stay in Quick Resume. That counts while you're plugging out the console, restarting the console fully. They all stay on. Quite insane. In case you missed what Quick Resume actually is and how it works as a feature, it effectively just suspends some games in storage. It has a select bit of storage for it, so you don't have to worry about you keeping storage free for it. It keeps games in suspension for you exactly where you left it. This obviously won't work with online games. And then you can just hop back into it whenever you want 10 seconds later, and you can leave those games in suspension for quite a long time. And by quite a long time, I can mean days, while it's unplugged, etc., and you can hop straight back into that mission you left in GTA, for example. So a quick example of how that would work, let's say I'll take the last example, you're in a mission in GTA, your friends say, oh, do you want to play some Black Ops Cold War? I say, okay, don't have to pause it, get to a save point, just jump straight onto Black Ops Cold War, leave GTA as it was, go play some Cold War, do your thing. Then you're like, okay, I want to chill into Forza, we're done playing now. Hop straight onto Forza. If you left Arc open a couple of days ago, that's exactly where it was, in the middle of said drift you might have even been doing. You're playing that, and then once you're finally done, hop back onto GTA. I need to finish that mission. You're still exactly where you left at as well. That's how seamless it is. You don't have to close games anymore, pretty much. No one will really ever reach a healthy limit of what it will be before all of them start to close, and if they do, it's the oldest one that it has open that it will actually start closing. It will go from oldest to newest, so don't worry about it randomly picking a game to close. So keep in mind, if you've had a game open for a while and you've opened quite a few since, double check, see if it's still in saved, and then you're good. Moving on to probably the most important thing for most people, the gaming experience itself. As for optimized next-gen titles, the ones I actually play often, or the one I actually play often, is Black Ops Cold War, which also has a 120Hz option, which is brilliant. Bear in mind you can't use that with ray tracing. Ray tracing is only on 60Hz, but that's the game I've been playing a lot with, so that's the one I'll base a lot of my opinions of gaming with it, at least. Cold War has experienced its fair few crashes with a lot of people on their Series X, PS5, and probably all the other consoles as well. It was not that stable, but for me, I've only had a single crash of that game at all, and it was whilst I was on campaign, replaying a mission. I kept dying at a certain mission, kept replaying it, eventually it just gave up and turned my console completely off, and that was it. Not even the whole game crashing, that was the only time my whole console has actually crashed. Should say that was also when I was on 120Hz mode. I hadn't changed any extra settings, gone to ray tracing, which I heard was the cause, but clearly not. I've had a crash otherwise. Hasn't happened since, although I haven't played campaign since, because it hadn't crashed in days of playing multiplayer. Just campaign that one time, so I just didn't touch it in case it was doing something wrong. On to the actual gaming experience, like I said, as expected, it looks beautiful on this console. The Series X does it really well. It holds 120 FPS pretty much all the time. I don't want to be saying I've tested that, but I've not noticed any major visual drops of frames, etc. Obviously, Digital Foundry, there you guys, if you want to check that sort of stuff out. They've done many videos already. It holds it just fine. I'm on a 4040p monitor as well. Looks great there. That's also a good balance, because even if it's rendering at 4K 120 and it's dropping a bit of res, it's always above what my monitor can do, so it's a bonus for me. Hence why I always like to say that's the perfect sweet spot if you can get the right monitor. Again, not going into that, but it looks really good nonetheless. And with long playing sessions, which with Cold War at least I've had many, and many other games as well. Example, an 8-hour playing session on Cold War has made the fan kick up exactly 0 times. No audible or hear like fan noise at all. I have to put my ear directly onto the console, like within about that much space maybe, and then I can actually hear it. And that's right next to my PC, so I really can't, because I'm mainly hearing my PC. It's not audible, is my point. It's really not audible. The fan is on, it's just not kicking up to be loud, obviously. As I said, Cold War is the only optimized game I mainly play, and I have noticed an easy trend, which I'm assuming others have. It's the only game that really makes the console kick out quite a bit more heat than all the other games. It's not unbearable at all, it's just a nice gentle heating. It's not that bad at all. Again, no fan noise, regardless of which game I'm playing, but it's the one that produces a tiny bit more heat. It's as expected, and it's, like I said, it's not uncomfortable. Doesn't really bother me at all, but in case anyone wanted to know, optimized games clearly take more advantage of the console, clearly need more power, and then produce more heat. And with the back compat games, like I said, it doesn't really produce any heat whatsoever. There are some games where I can't distinguish it really from idle on the dashboard, to be honest. Ours are obviously lighter games, but I've had GTA not do anything to the console at all. Onto the non-gaming experience, and that's obviously not of major importance, but it knits together everything in between you actually playing, so it should work well enough that you just don't notice it. That's its aim. And as Xbox went with pretty much a identical setup of OS, etc., UI with the Xbox Ones, It's completely familiar. Me, obviously, coming from an Xbox One, no different at all that I can notice. Anyone who's seen an Xbox One, if you're on PlayStation switching over, and you've seen it for years, it's exactly the same as that. Don't worry about it. Apps work just the same. Speed-wise, I believe maybe slightly quicker, but there's no like quick resume for apps, really. There is some exclusive dynamic backgrounds to the Series X and S as well, so don't think you're left out that side, which I guess is the only telling factor if you see someone streaming it on the dashboard, if they actually have a newer console or if they have the old one. But if they don't, then you would never actually know. I do wish they'd have gone for a complete overhaul of the whole UI, or at least a majorish change that just made it look better. I know they're comfortable with where they're at and they're just constantly updating it, and I was trying to make it a unified experience with Xbox, but I wish they'd have done something a little bit extra, just to push it out a little bit to show, okay, I'm on a Series X, I'm on a Series S. Maybe they might bring some more stuff in as they might start leaving behind the Xbox One, but I doubt it. But that's my only little gripe with the UI. It's fine and it works otherwise, and it's not really a deal breaker, but I guess someone might care about that enough. But so I thought I'd say it. But other than that, I think I'm finally done there with the Series X. That's been my time with it over this month. And yeah, it's been, as you can tell, pretty damn good. I will add a little gripe that I had with Cold War, with the UI of just normal Xbox Guide, etc., which I almost forgot to mention. It did get a little bit laggy. If you press the dashboard, it would sometimes take a long time to actually come up, and then it would finally come up, and if you tried scrolling and trying to do stuff, waiting for it to come up, it would just do that, delayed, etc. But that's only with Cold War, and that's only while in the game. That game clearly didn't launch fully stably, but it's got updates since. I haven't had any of that since. That was mainly during launch week or two, which is obviously a while back now. But I thought I'd mention it because in case it crops up again, could just be the game side of it. Console's been fine. But to wrap it up, my opinion is this is great. But if you haven't got the games that you want to play on it yet, I completely understand, and I pretty much pushed that point. If you don't have the games that you want to play on it yet and they aren't out yet, or the games you want to play aren't up to a high enough level and you can hang on with the old gen versions, stick with those. Stick with those for now until games that you want to play or games that you have get a new update to look even better, get some nice extra features. Example, I'm really hyped about 120 FPS modes. The main games I play, Cold War, well, that's basically it, but Cold War has it. That was enough for me to pretty much get the whole thing. But if you don't have that game for you, then wait for a year, wait a little bit till they get cheaper, and then you can just get it because it is a certain price, or because the game you finally want to have is finally out or has the features you now want on this new console. That's the point when everyone should really be buying this, and this is the same with the Series S as well, because that gives you some extra benefits. So yeah, let me know any questions you've got about this console and my own experiences with them. I'm happy to answer in case you've had something different and you want to let me know, is it the same for you? Did you not have this issue, etc.? That sort of stuff. And anyone else who wants to just post their little opinion, negative, positive, whatever, and just say, okay, mine's been nothing like this, this is what I've had. Let us know, because although mine's pretty much a positive review on it, if you've had a negative review, I know some people have, it'd be good to let people know. So people who are looking to see about this, check the comments as well, just in case people have got any other different opinions. But for me, I've been good with it. I'll be able to game with it for a couple more months and, well, years, hopefully, actually. And I might come back and visit this in the future when there's a lot more games and I've picked up a couple more and I can really just show, okay, these games look good, it's now time to switch. But for now, hold on a little bit. I'll leave it on that. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. The quick resume video should be coming out not too long. And yeah, finally back with some videos again. A little bit of time, sorry about that. We move. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya. If you're talking to me now, better mind your manners, yeah, yeah.